Tonight, the NASCAR Canada Series makes its final stop at the midseason Western Swing. The quarter mile at Edmonton International Raceway plays host to round number 8 of the 2024 season on TSN.
Welcome to the 8th race of the 2024 NASCAR Canada Series, presented by Everum and Pinty's. We're at Edmonton International Raceway in Wetaskiwin, Alberta, for the Napa 300. Hello and welcome to a sunny Wetaskiwin, Alberta. I'm Dave Bradley. Along with me is Adam Ross, and Todd Lewis is trackside. But Adam, let's talk about the people who own this track. Ron and Loretta Thiering have continued to build on their quarter-mile dream.
Dave, where would this sport be without people and dreamers like the Thierings? This place has a little something more every time we come here, but make no mistake, this is still a classic bull ring short track. There is one good groove, and if you want it, you've got to take it.
It is going to be a tough race, and one that could shake up the Fast Eddie Speedway point standings, which is pretty tight at the top. You have the number 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron, who leads, but only by 7 over Andrew Ranger, and Kevin Lacroix is right in the mix there too.
The points title is still so tight, nobody can take their foot off the gas. One little blip and you'll wind up being far behind, and it won't be easy to catch up because these drivers and these teams just don't make mistakes.
And we talk about this place and Marc-Antoine Cameron. It's a place that he loves. He drives with one hand. That's how good the car has worked here in the past.
It's so, we've seen it in some entry-level divisions sometimes because it takes a lot of coordination in tight turns to get both your hands agreeing. Of course, maybe it's just that his crew chief, Robin McCluskey, makes his cars so easy to drive, he only needs one hand.
The story in E3 Sparkplug's pole qualifying wasn't necessarily the 96. It came close, but it was the 74 of Kevin Lacroix who took quick time, just a shade over 12.9 seconds. That's a pretty quick lap.
And a couple of really cool things for me in the top 5. Jamie Krizik, Western Canadian driver, qualified 6th last week, and we were impressed. This week he's in the top 5, along with maritime racer Danny Chisholm is going to be in the Janet King number 8. Here's a young man you want to keep an eye on.
Another driver who qualified well, always races well here at Edmonton International Raceway, is behind the wheel of the 47, and he is standing by with Todd Lewis. Todd?
One of the drivers you definitely want to keep an eye on tonight is LP Dumoulin. In 8 previous appearances here at Edmonton, on the podium 6 times, also scored a victory in 2015. LP, what are the keys to success here in Edmonton?
The key for success here, being patient, obviously. It's a great venue, great fans. I mean, look at that, those stands, it's outstanding. That WeatherTech 47 Omnifab Benoit car was good in practice, good in quality, so we need to start up front. It's of course a big point, and being inside as well, because the outside groove here is a pretty tough groove for everybody. And 300 laps, I mean, it's going to be hot. The car might be getting tight towards the end, so we have to do a good pit stop strategy. But all in all, it's been good years. I mean, we want to keep on that good momentum. So what a win! We're more than due for a win for sure.
LP Dumoulin definitely wants that victory. Good starting spot. He'll roll off 3rd tonight.
Thanks very much, Todd. And the 3-time champion practiced a lot here today, turning over 140 laps.
Dave, he's had good results this year, but not great. They are looking for that one thing that puts him over the top. If he gets on a hot streak, watch out.
We'll see who will be the hot driver here today, and a beautiful day for racing in Wetaskiwin, Alberta. When we return, we'll fire the engines for the start of the Napa 300. The Napa 300 from Edmonton International Raceway is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. You need it, we've got it. That's Napa know-how. By Fast Eddie Speedway. Get geared up. By WeatherTech. For the perfect fit and ultimate in-vehicle protection, nothing protects like WeatherTech. Order online at weathertech.ca. And by E3 Sparkplugs. Born to burn.
These grandstands are absolutely packed. Upwards of 500 people are representatives of Napa. Here's one now with the command.
Drivers, start your engine!
Scott Janko is here all day yesterday, all day today. One of the many guests of Napa having a great time. Works out at one of the Edmonton stores.
Well, that's the excitement we want to hear as the engines fire here on the front straightaway of this tight quarter-mile track. The banking is not spectacular in the corners, so this is very much a rough and tumble place to make a pass. We'll ride on board with the 84 of Larry Jackson, also on board the WeatherTech.ca number 47 of LP Dumoulin.
Gloria Eng, we can see her out the windshield, 2 thumbs up. That means all the cars have fired as we have a look at Andrew Ranger behind the wheel of his familiar number 27.
Now, Ranger is looking for another win in the season. Jason Hathaway looking to break through after making his 150th start in the NASCAR Canada Series just recently. So we'll see how he can do here in the tight confines of Edmonton International Raceway as the field rolls off, all tucked in behind the Napa number 74 of Kevin Lacroix. He will be your pole sitter as we take a look at your Napa starting lineup. Marc-Antoine Cameron starting alongside.
Row number 2 has LP Dumoulin on the inside in the 47, and Jamie Krizik, the lone Alberta racer in the field, starting 4th. Danny Chisholm and Thomas Neveu make up row number 3.
Looking back to row number 4, that's where we find DJ Kennington in the 17 and Donald Teege in the 80. Row 5, Andrew Ranger has some work to do in the 27, and there's Jason Hathaway in the 3.
And rounding out the field, Glenn Stiers in the 0 and Larry Jackson in the 84.
The field working to get some heat in those general tires as they weave back and forth. You see them trying to get some temperature in the brakes too. You want to make sure everything works going into turn 1 for the first time.
Interesting note about Andrew Ranger. He was hoping to qualify well, but we both talked earlier, when he's won this year, he qualified very poorly.
Let's take a look at your E3 Spark Plugs race analysis from on board the 84 of Larry Jackson. 300 laps, and important to note, this is a break race on around the halfway mark. Before we go to green, let's check in one more time with Todd Lewis. Todd?
Couple stories to watch tonight. The 46 of Jamie Krizik qualifies 4th. A mechanical at Saskatoon took him out early. His focus is finishing all the laps tonight. Danny Chisholm with a great opportunity to race here in Edmonton with EHR. He's also focusing on finishing all the laps. Says this place reminds him of Oxford. You're always turning.
And if you're a fan of statistics, Dave, Marc-Antoine Cameron, he could win his 3rd race in a row tonight in the schedule this year. He could also win his 3rd race in a row right here at Edmonton. He's won the last 2 seasons we visited this racetrack.
He has been so strong the last 2 visits here, and he'll start alongside. We'll see how that outside lane works. You can see Kevin Lacroix making his final preparations as the field works its way through turn number 4, looking for the green flag as they hit the front stretch. We're underway here in the Napa 300.
Great launch for Kevin Lacroix, also great for LP Dumoulin in that 47.
96 able to find a hole and get down. That is very important. You see Krizik trying to hang on to that outside groove, now in a battle with the 8 of Danny Chisholm.
Jamie Krizik with a lot of experience at this racetrack. I like what he's doing right now. He's not even trying to crowd down to the inside. He knows you've just got to ride this out until the opportunity presents itself to get to the inside.
Protect your equipment is a theme that we heard some of these drivers and these crews talking about before this event. 300 laps on such a tight track. You want to have all the fenders on when that checkered flag flies.
Looking back at LP Dumoulin from race leader Kevin Lacroix as we watch this side-by-side battle with DJ Kennington and Jamie Krizik. Now Andrew Ranger and Jamie Krizik.
Yeah, so it didn't take Ranger very long to move up a couple of spots in that inside lane that was able to move a little bit quicker than the outside groove. Everybody's sorting themselves out pretty much to get single file at this point. But you can see there's curbs at one end. There's this concrete almost sidewalk. That's the exit of pit lane. As a little nudge there from Kennington onto Chisholm to bump the 8 car up and out of the groove.
Ranger takes advantage, drives right down to the apron on the inside, and we'll watch drivers use that all night long.
And no pressure here. 3 back to the 27.
That's Doug Dave, the spotter for the 17 of DJ Kennington. Just telling him he has no pressure from behind, and the car in behind is the 27 of Andrew Ranger. And interesting, we talk about the curbing and the flat down low. That's very similar to the home track of Danny Chisholm at Riverside, where you can hook those left side tires onto the flat or onto the curbing and actually help your car turn.
The difference here is so subtle that it really doesn't upset the car all that much. So it's just another option for these drivers to help affect the way their car rotates.
Danny Chisholm, welcome to the NASCAR Canada Series, and the use of the front bumper. He is getting pushed around. Donald Teach nudges him out of the way, and here's his teammate and car owner, Jason Hathaway, now to the inside. He'll play nice because he's got to fix both cars.
Thomas Nava, he's going to get in on this action, drives to the inside of Danny Chisholm. So Danny Chisholm is almost back outside of the top 10, running right now in that 10th spot.
Perils of the outside groove in the early going here in the Napa 300, but look at Marc-Antoine Cameron. He is getting antsy and using the front bumper. A little chrome horn action on the 47 of LP Dumoulin.
What a great view, as Cameron obviously able to get to the center of the corner a little quicker than Dumoulin, but Dumoulin has that car right on the preferred groove on the inside. So Cameron's either going to have to get physical or time it so he can make a move.
You can see there's a variety of different lines, especially through 3 and 4 for these drivers. Cameron able to pinch down low, down the back straightaway, as Dumoulin lets it float out a little bit, but Cameron's right there when it comes time to slow up into 3 and 4.
Watching Andrew Ranger, that GM Paillet number 27. Again, didn't have the qualifying run he had hoped for back in the 9th spot, but we've watched him pass a lot of race cars this year.
And Ranger holding on to the 5th spot at this point in this race. So he has moved up nicely, chasing the 17, and a big bump from the 96 of Cameron. There's fiberglass bouncing along the track, and look at the damage to the back of the Dodge Challenger, driven by LP Dumoulin. Tire smoke now too.
Smoke off of that left rear, and whatever the pan is underneath that rear bumper.
That's the trunk pan, I believe, so it would be sort of the distance up to the fuel cell in the trunk of the 47 of LP Dumoulin, but something more importantly is rubbing on that left rear tire.
That would have taken significant contact.
It didn't seem like that hard of a hit. He'd sort of been there a couple of times, a couple bounces on the back bumper, but for some reason that one that just made the car fold. Because you can see there's not really any damage to the nose of the 96. There's a little scuff, but nothing too severe.
Smoke seems to be getting heavier off of that left rear of LP Dumoulin. Doesn't seem to be affecting his speed.
Well, the rest of the field catching, though. DJ Kennington right there. Rangers coming along for the party. And Jamie Krizik is saying, hey, guys, can I have fun, too? As everybody chases your race leader, the 74 of Kevin Lacroix in front of a huge Napa contingent here in the Napa 300. Kevin Lacroix is out for a Saturday drive.
Drives to the inside of Glenn Stiers in the Zero Machine. Glenn gives him plenty of room, then drops down to that bottom groove as well. There is action all the way around this racetrack. You're watching NASCAR on TSN.
And welcome back to race number 8 of the 2024 NASCAR Canada Series. We're in Wetaskiwin, Alberta, about 45 minutes south of Edmonton. Here at a track called Edmonton International Raceway. We got battles throughout the field as Donald Teach moves to the inside of the 46 of Jamie Krizik.
LP Dumoulin starting to slide backwards through this field. Still signs of smoke off of that left rear tire and the tire rub.
You can see that smoke, and now you can see DJ Kennington tucked in behind it. He's trying to hold off the 80 of Donald Teach.
You know, we had a great view of the racetrack and the grandstands when we came back from commercial. Remember the first time we came out here, there was only the main grandstand on the front straightaway. The two new grandstands towards turn number 4, they are huge and they are jam-packed this weekend.
Yeah, you almost can't find a seat, and of course everybody treated to some great action. The two EHR cars battling on the track, but this is a series that is such a tight-knit family on the western and eastern swings. The kids all come out here. The Hathaway Kennington kids got to work on their TikTok videos, making some social media content during some of the downtime earlier on, and Danny Chisholm grabbed the t-shirt cannon, started giving away some fast, steady NASCAR Canada swag. So it's very much a party atmosphere and very much a family atmosphere too.
And the fans support that. There's so much fun out here. The autograph session here in Edmonton is chaotic as any that we do all season long.
Oh, some contact there as Chisholm got into Krizik. The 46 went for a big slide up in 1 and 2. That opened the door as the Leland Janet King number 8 filled the hole, but now they're still side by side.
Remember, Danny Chisholm dropped all the way to the 10th spot early in this race. He's trying to march his way back towards the front. There is a lot of laps in this race. We're not even to lap 50 yet.
Team boss Jason Hathaway, former NASCAR Canada Series champion, is going to just watch the youngster and see how he does it following his tire tracks as Danny Chisholm makes the holes.
And clear, back to near track.
LP Dumoulin just can't get back on the gas. You can see the back end of that car start to come around when he gets on the throttle. It's not going to get better with Donald Teege right behind him.
No, and you can see how close Teege is right now. He's almost in that gap that was opened up by the 96 early in this race. A little nudge. You see the flex of the fiberglass as the 80 car goes by. The WeatherTech.ca number 47 tries to slide to the inside to close the gap, but he has to flex a little bit of muscle to get there.
Well, DJ Kennington sort of cut some slack to LP Dumoulin, but it's going to cost him. Danny Chisholm gets to the inside of that 17.
Chisholm with that young, youthful exuberance, right? You fall back, but it doesn't really matter because you got youth on your side, and you want to get back up to the front, and he wants to do it in a hurry and not afraid to use the bumper. He learned in the early going. Other drivers were knocking him out of the way, so he says, that's how you play? Watch how I do it in this Leland Chevy.
He's doing it very politely, though.
Yeah, he's not turning anybody. He's just moving them.
It shows excellent car control. Now DJ Kennington will get to the inside of LP Dumoulin and pick up that spot. Jason Hathaway jumps into that opening as well, and Jamie Krizik is right there on his tail.
Should mention too, Danny Chisholm has been racing in the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, which is a very physical series, so he's not afraid to lay a bumper if that's how others are going to treat him.
When in Rome, Dave.
Exactly. On board the 46 of Jamie Krizik. Watch his hands. Nudge off the 47 of LP Dumoulin, but that car you can see bouncing off the rumble strips on the inside. Now Dumoulin, by comparison, look at how much hand he has to put into it.
Yeah, lots of turn into the corner, and then you've got to be ready when the back end snaps around to catch it.
So that gives you an idea of the handling on the 47 and why LP Dumoulin continues to fall down the running order. Still out in front, though, and unchallenged as he continues to pick his way through lap traffic is the 74 Kevin Lacroix. And watch him go.
I heard today that Kevin Lacroix was feeling a little bit under the weather. This will make you feel better.
When you have a dominant car in the early going, all of a sudden your spirits get lifted. And Kevin Lacroix is able to check the rearview mirror and see nobody behind.
Side with through. We'll get the 0.
Glenn Stiers.
Clear. Clear. That's set sail here.
Sliding backwards. He's running way up on the outside, giving these drivers lots of room. DJ Kennington had to give way there, tuck in behind Hathaway.
Good by half here. All good.
That's Jeff Gutler, the spotter for the 3 of Jason Hathaway. And talking about spotters, that is Colin Livingston, a fan of race cars since he's been about 8 years old. He's been to Indy, he's been to Daytona. He's raced karts himself. He originally met up with Alex Tagliani back in 2008, starting as a sponsor, and then they developed a friendship. He's been a spotter since.
With them inside, door to door, gates inside, door to door, nothing behind the 8. Drive it off. Good job, bud. Clear, clear, clear.
So today he's helping out the 84 of Larry Jackson. He'll be back with Tagliani back on the road courses at GP3R.
And it shows you how valuable that spotter is. You're part cheerleader, but you've got to be fairly monotone and stay calm. Colin Livingston's been doing it for quite a while, and so much passion for the sport.
Yeah, the drivers are excitable enough. They don't need that outside influence to get up on the wheel. They need somebody to talk them down around them.
Save your equipment, boss. You're doing great. 64 laps in.
Another example of one of the best, MP Edouard, the spotter for Donald Teague. Again, just giving him all the necessary information as they set out to chase the 74, who just put a lap on the number 47 of LP Dumoulin.
Wow, 66 laps in, and LP Dumoulin, after such a great qualifying run, is down a lap in this one.
Well, Dumoulin is soldiering on, trying to get to a caution, hoping that a caution flag will fly. Is this the opportunity? Glenn Stiers slows. He's down pit lane. Todd Lewis?
Glenn Stiers is making a green flag stop on pit road. Significant handling adjustment to the right rear. Couple of rounds in. Now another further adjustment for Glenn Stiers. He's really got his hands full with that car.
Jim Ireland with those adjustment wrenches, just giving it to her.
Hey, you have a gap behind the 96 here. Get up on it. Let's go.
Spotter for Glenn Stiers telling him that there is an open gap on the track to blend in and get back into traffic. He is a couple laps down, making a green flag pit stop here with the lap so quick, about 13 and a half seconds. It doesn't take long before you go a handful of laps down.
Donald Teague, the KG veteran from Boischatel, Quebec, putting the pressure on the Nova Scotian Danny Chisholm in the 8 car.
Jamie Krizik will be smiling ear to ear with this run as he gets around the 17 of DJ Kennington.
So 5 back, 3 back.
Now he's looking for the 6th spot, and these are huge passes because that's the race leader, Kevin Lacroix, coming to put them all a lap down.
That's the thing. It's time to go. If you have a car that you think is good enough to win this race, you need to stay on the lead lap, because here comes Kevin Lacroix, and he's picking them off one at a time.
Watch his hands. Remember how much LP was doing on the steering wheel? Kevin Lacroix is barely moving it.
Etienne Cliche, who's in charge of that 74 car, definitely has it working, along with crew chief Adam Marquito. They have that piece very much tuned into this racetrack. Look at how he's able to turn it down so much sharper than the 3-car Hathaway.
He's making it look easy right now as they work through 3 and 4.
Quarter, clear.
That's Lacroix's spotter, and clear is something that he's heard a lot of in this race. Now he's looking at the back bumper
Inside.
of Jamie Krizik.
Side with the 46. You've got the leader coming with him.
Colin Livingston.
46 and the 74. Good job, bud. Side by side. Tight to the 74. He's got the 3 coming with him. Side by side.
Tough night so far for Larry Jackson in that 84 machine. The Big Chief Snacks sponsored 84. Big Chief's here at this event tonight.
Yeah, it's cool to see them here, and it's cool to get some Big Chief snacks when you're walking around the Larry Jackson pit too. As the leader goes around, laps the 6th place car, Kevin Lacroix very much in charge. This race has been all Kevin Lacroix since the drop of the green. The driver of the Napa Dodge started on the pole, and he's led every lap so far, and he is putting most of this field a lap down. That's how dominant he's been.
Oh, that car is on a rail, and this one is out of control. LP Dumoulin has cut down that left rear tire.
We saw a lot of smoke from that car earlier after contact with the 96 Marc-Antoine Cameron. And yeah, LP Dumoulin has a fight on his hands just to keep it straight as he looks for pit lane, but we're staying under green, no caution.
Well, and I'm looking to see if that tire carcass is going to come off, and it hasn't.
Looks like LP is almost trying to work it off, as now he'll find his pit stall, and Todd Lewis is in there too. Todd?
You could see the car wiggling as LP Dumoulin came to pit road. Had that contact earlier, the body damage rubbing up against that tire. That left rear is flat. They now lift the car up in the air to get the jack underneath. They'll make the swap, and LP Dumoulin will return. Fast race car, but that early contact has set him back.
Great shots for our pit road camera. Dean Garapi in charge of that one as he's right on top of the action with Todd Lewis on the tight pit lane here at Edmonton International Raceway when there's pit stalls on both sides, which makes it a little unique.
It's definitely one of a kind, this pit road. One driver who's not even thinking about the pits. He's thinking about lapping this entire field.
And there you see the 47 of Dumoulin blend back in and blend right in front of the leader, in between your 5th place car, Donald Teach, and your race leader, Kevin Lacroix.
We have seen drivers have dominant performances over the years. I can remember Alex Tagliani at Sunset. I believe he lapped everyone up to the 3rd place car. Andrew Ranger at Riverside years ago lapped everybody with the exception of Jeff Lapsevich in that race.
It's a battle for 7th position. A couple of drivers hungry for a win. DJ Kennington, and here's a stat, a little bit of a surprising one, hasn't won since 2022. That win coming way back at Saskatoon of that year. 2nd place is Andrew Ranger as he works through the lap cars. First going around his former teammate, DJ Kennington, now setting his sights on Jason Hathaway. And important to note for Andrew Ranger, the 2 drivers that are going laps down are veterans, and they know that a lead car is going by. They're not going to do anything silly.
At this point, when you're Andrew Ranger, and keep in mind, he is a teammate to our race leader, so he's got, you would think, a similar setup. Just get to the midway break. Don't go a lap down, don't use up your fenders, don't use up your front bumper. He's on cruise control right now while these 2 are battling for position.
Does give an opportunity for the Castrol Edge Dodge of Kennington, though. The hole opens up when Ranger goes through. Kennington says thank you very much, and just like the mailman, he delivers a pass underneath the 3 car of Jason Hathaway.
I gotta say, it's maybe once a race, Dave. You say something, it's wow.
Now they're all single file chasing the 27 of Andrew Ranger. And again, to give you an idea of how far ahead the 74 of Kevin Lacroix is, Ranger is about 7 seconds back. So that's half a track here at Edmonton International Raceway.
Right, they're running 13-second laps, so things happen in a hurry. So you're right, 7 seconds behind the leader is half a racetrack behind.
Go get him. A lap time for Kevin Lacroix. That's Etienne Cliche, and go get him means go get that car right in front. That driver, your points leader, the 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron, he's the next one in line to go a lap down. 4th place.
Kevin Lacroix doesn't need all that much encouragement, although he just got out of shape into the corner. He's been driving the wheels off of that race car.
Boy, you don't have to tell him twice to go get him, as Kevin Lacroix wants to put the 96 a lap down before we get to the halfway break. We're still about 40 laps, 35 laps or so before that halfway break. Again, on or around the halfway point is when the caution flag will fly.
Riding along with Andrew Ranger, you can hear you're not on the gas for long.
If you're Kevin Lacroix, you're on the gas for a little bit longer because you're hungry to catch that GM Paillet Chevrolet number 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron. Again, 7 points was the difference between Cameron and the 27 of Andrew Ranger coming into this race. Kevin Lacroix, 3rd place in points, and look at the Napa car close in on Cameron.
Cameron has even changed his line a little bit with Kevin Lacroix closing that gap. He's starting to defend the inside, but with more than 30 laps to go until the break, I just don't see a way Lacroix does not get around this 96.
96 car not quite as hooked up as it has been the last couple of years. Keep in mind how dominant Cameron has been.
He's won the last 2 races here at Edmonton.
And according to our stats man extraordinaire, Bryce Turner, he's led 87.6% of the laps in those 2 races.
Riding on board with Larry Jackson, it's been a long night for the driver from Oakville, Ontario.
But you know what? He's keeping the fenders on the car. It's still a long way to go, and you can never know what's going to happen. And he's sitting in 10th spot.
Donald Teach has closed in on Kevin Lacroix. This is huge. Teach is 5th. You want to be in the free pass position when the yellow comes out. Teach is right now, but as soon as Cameron gets past, now Cameron's the free pass car.
And watch the 80 car. Now he'll come through. This is a battle for the free pass position.
Wow. Veteran move by Donald Teach. Picks up the 4th spot and the free pass spot. And it's very, well, I shouldn't say it's unlikely.
Okay, you gotta try fast keying for the lucky dog.
Danny Chisholm 10 seconds behind the leader, which means he's about 4 seconds ahead of the leader with 30 laps to go till the break.
And now Teach is opening up the gap on the 96. So that 80 car actually has quite a bit of speed in it as he chases the race leader. So it might have been a case where I just need to see where Kevin Lacroix is running. And this is not a battle for position. Remember, the 47 did make a stop.
Why?
But they do have a history.
Why did he make a stop? Because the 96, that's why.
That cut down left rear tire. So brand new General tire on the left rear of the WeatherTech .ca Dodge, and that's why he's a little bit quicker, but no contact, no retaliation at this point.
No, LP took the high road there.
Thought there might be a little bit of a rough up coming back as the trunk is still crumpled on the Dodge Challenger for LP Dumoulin.
Donald Teach is keeping pace with Kevin Lacroix in that 74 machine. Obviously, he's a lap down, so over the course of the first 100 and some laps of this race, he did not have the same pace as the 74. But it's got to give him some optimism as we ride on board with Thomas Neveu that his race car does work pretty well.
Yeah, on board the Richelieu Home Hardware, Dave Jacobs prepared number 24. Thomas Neveu coming off his first top 5 finish at Riverside earlier this season. Thought this might be a track that would lend itself well to his driving style. He's down a lap early on and now down a couple, as a matter of fact.
Watching Neveu and the way he grips the steering wheel makes me want to go on board with some more cars. Did you notice that? He has his thumb all the way around the wheel.
Usually on a short track, you don't necessarily wrap your thumbs around because you're beating and banging a little bit more, and the wheel tends to get grabbed out of your hand or break your thumbs.
Yeah, you're picking up what I'm laying down. We don't get a look here at the driver's hands, but every time we go on board a car for the rest of this race, I'm going to be looking at thumbs.
Danny Chisholm, the Jenny King Leland, number 8. That car is looking very, very sporty. He started up towards the front midfield-ish or so, but fell back in the early going and then charged back like a bull all the way through the field and now sits in 3rd spot. And the gap between him and the leader has remained relatively the same, about 10.4 seconds lap after lap.
Yeah, we're down into the final 20 laps before that midway break as Jason Hathaway in the 3 closing in on the 80 at Donald Teach.
Again, this is not a battle for position, but Teach wants to be careful because he wants to maintain that free pass position. He has a gap on the 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron, so he can't afford to lose a couple of these spots.
Now, let's keep in mind, talking about rivalries, Donald Teach is still not Jason Hathaway's biggest fan after a hard crash at Riverside last month.
No, they haven't really talked since then, so there might be a chip on a shoulder for the driver of the 80 car because his car was destroyed after Riverside.
Tightly bunched pack as we're back on board with Neveu, and have a look at his right thumb. That's what you don't see anything past his knuckle. And he's got his hands nowhere near the spokes of the steering wheel. A lot of drivers will rest their thumbs on those spokes.
He seems pretty comfortable, though, as he's been chasing the 3 of Hathaway in the Assa Abloy Leland-backed entry, but the Ford Mustang tucked up underneath. And again, he seems to have found some speed in the middle portion of this run. Now a little nudge on Hathaway.
Fascinating to me, some of the cars that dropped back quite a bit in the start now are starting to make their way through. Some of them are on completely different laps, but they're learning a lot in this process.
Again, you don't have a huge practice session here, I mean, LP Dumoulin was able to turn about 140-odd laps, but still, the laps click off so very, very quickly, and the conditions are a lot different than they are now.
And some of these drivers do not have the experience to know what they're practicing on. Right, Thomas Neville, how do I know, okay, I'm on old tires, this is what the car's gonna do. How do you know if the cars around you in practice are also on old tires?
And
right now they all are.
Yeah, for sure. And I was gonna say, he doesn't have a lot of experience at this track, although 2023, Edmonton's stop was really the breakout race for that team and that driver. Sort of found his groove.
So Jamie Krizik, his thumb is right up on the spoke of the wheel, but even he's got it wrapped a bit. But as long as you're above the spoke, it's not going to break your thumb when the wheel turns.
And off the pace is the 3 of Jason Hathaway. And slow, it looks like a flat right front tire as he passes our camera position here in turn number 1. Hathaway very slow. He has to wait for the field to go by. Pit lane is way down on the inside, and he will find it, so no caution.
Wow. The officials are letting them race here tonight. We stay under green as Hathaway rolls down to the attention of his crew. Todd Lewis is on the scene.
So close to halfway, but Jason Hathaway could hold on no longer. That right front is down. Crew lifting the car to try to get that jack underneath. Now they've got it up in the air. They'll swap that right front tire on the 3.
Yeah, and we stay green, so this car and driver going laps down. They'll make a change in the back. We're only about 5 laps to go until the halfway break.
Kevin Lacroix all by himself out on the racetrack. Nobody directly in front of him, but he can make up a lot of ground in these 5 laps.
Just 3 cars still on the lead lap, believe it or not. 4th place is Donald Cheech. He is the first car 1 lap down, but it just gives you an idea of the flex from that Napa team here today in the Napa 300 at Edmonton International Raceway.
And Kevin's got his thumbs. I'm almost obsessed now. His thumbs are above the spokes too.
It's a thumb check from Adam Ross. The 2 GM Paillet cars, and this is for bragging rights. Now, these are not teammates. Their cars aren't prepared in the same shop. Obviously, they look similar, have the same sponsor, but there's a lot of bragging rights at stake here. Who wants to be the best Paillet car?
They're on different laps right now, so bragging rights going to Andrew Ranger at this point in the game.
Cameron is in 5th, Ranger is in 2nd, and Ranger digging on the inside. He wants to get by and not waste any more time.
Not a lot of fight required from Cameron there. It's not a battle for position as Kevin Lacroix closes in on Glenn Stiers in that 0, likely anticipating a yellow flag that should come out sooner or later.
Yeah, the Freshstone Racing Midway leader is Kevin Lacroix. He's been the only leader so far here in the Napa 300.
So he has locked up a bonus point for leading a lap, and he has now locked up a bonus point for leading the most laps.
We have crossed halfway, and there is the caution flag indicating the halfway break for these drivers. So take a deep breath, Kevin Lacroix, as you'll get a chance to rest those arms for just a little bit after more than 150 laps under green.
At the midway point, there's been only 1 leader. It's all Kevin Lacroix. No yellow flags. With the free pass, we now have 4 cars on the lead lap.
Danny Chisholm, the top rookie, sitting in 3rd spot in that number 8 car. The field has found pit lane, and we're set to go with the work. Todd?
Teams have been given the signal from NASCAR. They have 3 minutes to make changes and adjustments, and as they're all doing first, filling the cars full of fuel. They will change 4 fresh generals. That 74 car, absolutely perfect. Etienne Klesch says no changes, but 27 also very good. 2nd place runner Andrew Ranger also with no changes. That 8 car, how about the run from Danny Chisholm, who had a great starting spot, running 3rd, some minor adjustments. And the 80 car of Donald Teague, also a pretty good run for him, some minor handling adjustments.
Important to see the drivers taking on hydration. So the cars get work, the drivers work on themselves. We'll be back with the second half of the Napa 300. Welcome back to the only NASCAR sanctioned track in Western Canada, Edmonton International Raceway, home of the Napa 300, as the field aligned and set to go back to green into the Pinty's restart zone here on the front straightaway. And we are back underway, and look at the jump Kevin Lacroix gets.
That is a choreographed restart between a couple of teammates, and it keeps Andrew Ranger in the second spot, but Dave will explain that after, because it's time to turn it up.
By side, next car back to 0. Side by side with the 80. Clear behind the 80. Clear, clear.
Stay with Kevin. Stay with Kevin. We'll be good.
Best advice of the day. Stay with Kevin.
Easier said than done with the laps that Kevin Lacroix was laying down in the first half of this race, but Andrew Ranger getting advice from his team to just stay in line as they try to gap now third place Danny Chisholm.
Let's go back to that restart after we watch this battle for the lead. Andrew Ranger, and this could also be a choreographed move with as much room as Kevin Lacroix is giving him. Ranger now the race leader, Dave.
And bonus points. Leading a lap to 27 gets that all-important bonus point. So yeah, you're right. It may have been, they look back, they got about a second gap on the 8 car of Danny Chisholm. It's like, let's play ball, spread those points around for a little bit.
The leader can choose on an oval track whether they want to start in the inside or the outside of the front row. When it's your teammate starting second, Kevin Lacroix took the less popular outside of the front row. Andrew Ranger lets him go. Lacroix gets down in front, and it prevents, who was then Danny Chisholm in the 8, from getting that position, the second position.
It's not team orders. It's just a little strategy playing out. And look at the 96. Remember how much of a struggle Marc-Antoine Cameron had with that GM Piegay number 96 in the first half of the race? They made a few minor adjustments, and Robin McCluskey has brought that car to life.
He's still a lap down, so he's still got his work cut out for him, but he's got a lot of speed in that 96 machine.
Well, he's working on passing the 8 of Danny Chisholm. Again, Chisholm sits in third. Cameron is technically in the free pass position right now, 5th overall on track. But I think he wants to get that lap back on speed.
It looks like it. Danny Chisholm continues to close the door on the 96 of Cameron, but Cameron all over the back bumper.
Look who's behind Cameron, too. Remember the issues that the 47 had to start this race because of a knock on the back bumper from the 96, and now the 47 is right there.
Riding on board with DJ Kennington in that Castrol Edge 17 as Cameron continues to try to find a hole on the inside.
So still your race leader is Ranger, now by about 0.7 of a second over the 74 of Kevin Lacroix. Chisholm is in third. Donald Teach had to start at the back by getting the free pass during that last caution, but he's coming.
Wow.
Oh dear.
Cameron was right down on the flat of the racetrack to make that move.
Chops up over the curb and then gets back onto the racetrack onto the front stretch, but he made the pass, and now he's got Danny Chisholm giving him a little, how are you doing, on the back bumper.
And all that work, and Cameron still runs in the 5th spot.
I know, he worked so hard for that pass. But he's got some clear air in front of him. Now he'll see the 74 of Kevin Lacroix, and he'll be able to gauge how good his car is compared to the top 2 drivers.
I can't get over how good the racing is out here. We're watching Jamie Krizik in the 46 battling with the 3 of Jason Hathaway.
Crew's trying to keep up with it all on pit lane, as are we. We'll take a quick break here on TSN. we continue to turn some green flag laps here in the Napa 300. Your leader continues to be the GM Paillet, number 27 of Andrew Ranger. Just a small gap on the 74 of Kevin Lacroix, but there's your fourth place driver, Donald Teej, in the 80, and he has his sleeves rolled up. Man, he's working through this field.
So Teej got the free pass at the midway break, but he had to start at the tail end of the field. So he's had to pass a lot of race cars to get up into contention. Next car for position is at the very front of this line. It's the 8 of Danny Chisholm.
Keep in mind, though, the 17 and the 46, DJ Kennington and Jamie Krizik, they're both a lap down, but this is a battle for position.
Go get a little softer in the corner and you'll get more exit, bud.
So some advice from MP Watt to Donald Teej on the inside, and Kennington holding 6th.
And Teej did the opposite. MP Watt said go in a little bit lighter for more exit speed. He sent it in so deep he couldn't keep it down on the racetrack.
It's hard when you got a guy on the outside and you want to beat him to that apex. But look at Krizik. Krizik will hit that flat.
Bumper still there. Clear, clear, he's behind you.
And now he's to the inside of the Castrol edge dot.
Now run away.
Kennington tried to close the door there, but Jamie Krizik asserted himself on the inside. Now they'll battle door to door.
Looks like everybody is picking up on something that the 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron was doing, and that is using almost the entire sidewalk, the flat edge of the exit of corner 4. Watch Krizik in the 46. That time he didn't use it, so he makes a liar out of me, but keep an eye as these drivers battle. They are relying more and more on those concrete edges.
It's hard when you enter the corner as low as he is to cut down to the flat on the racetrack. He did a little bit there. It's easier when you have the whole racetrack to arc your way to it.
Clear, get down, get down.
Doug James, spotter for the 17 of DJ Kennington. You hear the urgency, get down. And Kennington does find that hole and ducks in behind the 46 of Krizik. Great run for Jamie Krizik, though. We really have to stress that. He's a driver who's not in this kind of race car a lot. He does it a couple of times a year when NASCAR Canada Series comes west. He had a decent run in Saskatoon, but here he's really turning some heads.
He's doing a great job out here as we complete 200 laps of the Napa 300. 200 down, 100 to go, and look at Marc-Antoine Cameron. Could we see a driver get his lap back the old-fashioned way, Dave?
Well, he's getting closer to the 74. Now, the two leaders won't feel too much pressure to keep the 96 back, and they'll try to as much as they can because they want to keep the 96 a lap down, given how much speed he's got. But a quick caution will shake this field up dramatically for sure. Right now, 4 cars remain on the lead lap. Marc-Antoine Cameron, the first lap down. There's your 4th place driver, Donald Teej. And Krizik is really tucked up on the back bumper of that 80 car, and he's been following Teej for several laps now as he slides the 46 off turn 4.
These cars are a handful. Bright, sunny conditions all day long. The sun is starting to fade down in the sky. Nowhere near as hot as it was last week for our visit to Saskatoon.
So as strong as the 74 of Kevin Lacroix was in the early going of this race, it looks like the 96 is able to catch him again. This is not a battle for position, but it's a battle for ego almost, as Marc-Antoine Cameron wants to prove to Kevin Lacroix that he still has a quick car, lap down or not.
Right around the flat of the racetrack, Kevin Lacroix doesn't put up a big fight, but Cameron also didn't get physical at all. That's not a spot where you're going to use up any of your race car or use up any favors with your competitors.
Just under 100 laps to go, as you mentioned earlier. Now the next in line for Marc-Antoine Cameron is your race leader, the 27 of Andrew Ranger, who has just been sort of on cruise control at the front of the field.
Man, I can't help but watch the left rear of that 96 of Cameron. We saw it at Wetaskiwin recently, a couple of cars that broke trailing arm mounts, and that's what they looked like just before they break.
Yeah, it's really hanging outside the bodywork, especially on corner exit when that car is really leaning. Have a look at that general tire hanging out, and it does look like something might be amiss in the rear end.
It's got to be an optical illusion.
Could just be the way the body's been pushed in, and now we do get a caution. Debris in turn number 4. So a little bit of body work down on the racetrack. And that is the reason for a caution.
Oh, and there's the culprit right there.
Yeah, so now the NASCAR officials will decide to throw the caution, and what does that do? That puts the 96 back on the lead lap.
He will get the free pass. Donald Teague headed down pit road in that 80 machine.
Todd Lewis is standing by as he comes in for service. Todd?
Donald Teague trying to fight his way forward is getting a pretty significant handling adjustment to the left rear. Done. A track bar adjustment to the 17 of DJ Kennington, who helped the handling there, and also a handling adjustment for the 84 of Larry Jackson.
So Andrew Ranger continues out in front under caution here at Edmonton. Edmonton International Raceway first hosted a NASCAR Canada Series race way back in 2014. Today it hosts the Napa 300. And there has been action all throughout this field. And its teammates, once again, Andrew Ranger and Kevin Lacroix make up the front row as the field makes its way into the Pinty's restart zone.
And once again, a little collaboration among teammates. This time Andrew Ranger, the leader, gets in front of Kevin Lacroix, keeps Danny Chisholm back in that 3rd spot.
They fall into single file right away.
One. Good job.
Now you see Donald Teague in 4th. He did make a pit stop, but because he was on the lead lap, he does get to assume his position in line with all the other lead lap cars.
Savvy move by that team to know you're still going to restart in the 2nd row. Come make an adjustment as Danny Chisholm gets aggressive with Kevin Lacroix in that 74. The youngster from Nova Scotia working on the 2nd spot.
19 years old.
Behind us. No, that's no. Yes, clear.
And that is a pass for position as Kevin Lacroix drops back into 3rd spot. And a bump back from the veteran Kevin Lacroix. Lacroix took a nudge from Chisholm and he says, okay, I'll give you one right back. And now Chisholm fighting for that bottom groove as he makes contact with the 80 of Donald Teague.
My goodness, this is physical racing out here. One driver battling for a championship, one driver who just wants to come out and play, get the best finish he can.
75 laps to go, and you can see that bumper getting used up on the 8 car of Danny Chisholm. Already cracked fiberglass, but he's working it to, again, just try and nudge that 74 up out of that bottom groove.
A little further back, Marc-Antoine Cameron trying to work his way through the pack. He got the free pass, had to restart at the tail of the field, and right ahead of them, they're battling for the 6th spot. So these two are racing for position, Kennington and Krizik. They're not just going to get out of the way.
Well, that's the thing is they'll try and give space when it's there, but you don't want to open yourself up to a pass as Krizik falls back. DJ Kennington up into 6th, but the 17 and the 46 have been trading that 6th and 7th position back and forth for really the last 100 laps.
This entire race, there has been great examples of short track racing all through the field. Physical, but not dirty.
6 laps down. Let's not worry about them.
MP Edouard indicating that the driver just behind LP Dumoulin 6 laps down. So you can throw your rearview mirror out the window because you don't need it. Just focus on that 8 car in front of you.
This sport is so much about rhythm, repetition, hitting your marks.
And focus. It's so difficult to focus for all 300 laps, especially with some of the long green flag runs we've had here in the Napa 300 today. The drivers may not get physically tired, but mentally it's draining.
There is very little time to rest at this racetrack. On the front straightaway, you never have the steering wheel straight. Let's see if we stay on board here. Watch the driver, he's steering off the corner. You've always got some angle to that wheel with the exception of about 1 second on the backstretch.
Look at the gap at the front has evaporated as Kevin Lacroix has decided it's time to pick up the pace once again. And he is starting to turn up the pressure on the 27 of Andrew Ranger. Keep in mind, 5 out of 8 winners here at Edmonton International Raceway have gone on to win the NASCAR Canada Series Championship. So it's important to be in front at the time the checkered flag falls.
Interesting statistic. Last year was an exception to that statistic.
It was. Marc-Antoine Cameron came home the winner, second place in championship points last year.
As you can see, sunshine no longer a factor in this one. Gives these drivers a bit of a break as Marc-Antoine Cameron, don't do it again.
No, he's done all that damage to the 47 of LP Dumoulin. He's leaning on the bumper again as Dumoulin has caught the 80 car, but again, Donald Teach not really worried because he's so many laps down, although the 96 is coming, and that's going to be a battle for position as soon as Dumoulin gets out of the way.
They continue to battle at the front of the field. Kevin Lacroix just looks a little bit sportier than Andrew Ranger, and Ranger starting to defend the inside.
Tight on you here. He's all by himself. Nice and smooth. Keep on digging.
Joe Chisholm Jr. giving some instructions to Andrew Ranger. That's Ranger's spotter up in the stand on top of the big tower in turns 1 and 2. That's where the spotters hang out. They get a great bird's eye view of this entire track.
Here, Mark. Focus. I need better lap time.
You know, it's interesting to watch Andrew Ranger come off these turns so tight. I remember very well the first time we were here, Alex Tagliani led the race and was doing exactly this, defending lap after lap. Who was it that drove by him on the inside when he had finally used up his right front tire, Dave?
That was Andrew Ranger. He went on to pick up a win.
Don't play defense, all offense here.
Ranger says he likes this place. He's always had some very good luck here, so he was looking forward to running the 300 laps, and here is a battle for 4th spot. It took a while to manipulate and to get to that point, but the 96 Marc-Antoine Cameron slides underneath the 80 of Donald Teach.
See if Donald Teach can keep pace with the 96 machine. Let's see if Marc-Antoine Cameron can close in on the leaders. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to the Napa 300 at Edmonton International Raceway. I'm Dave Bradley. Adam Ross in the tower with me. Todd Lewis is pit side, and Andrew Ranger has his hands full with his teammate Kevin Lacroix, giving everything he can handle at this point. We should mention that Andrew Ranger in this stretch has led his 3,000th lap in the NASCAR Canada Series. That passes him for 4th all-time. Only the 22 of Scott Steckley, DJ Kennington, and Kevin Lacroix, who just managed to get around, has more laps led.
Next car back is the 96 in the mirror.
That's a lot of laps out in front of one of our races.
Yeah, and Kevin Lacroix is going to add to his tally now as he clicks off another lap out in front. We almost saw that pass coming, and it happened very easily. I think Ranger sort of looked and said, you might have the better car. Let's not hold each other up and let the 96 catch us.
We've had a pass for the 3rd spot. Marc-Antoine Cameron around Danny Chisholm. I think we heard a little bit of pleasantry over the radio, basically thanking Andrew for thinking big picture.
Well, and Etienne Cliche is telling his driver, let's go, we got to get going, we can't relax because the 96 is coming, knowing how quick that other GM Paillet car is. Remember, Cameron started at the back after that last caution. He's worked his way through the field, and now he's catching the leader.
Into the final 40 laps of this Napa 300, Kevin Lacroix really opening up his line. Running a much different line than Andrew Ranger right behind him.
Trying to find some extra speed in that Napa. Number 74 is Kevin Lacroix. But again, the gap is shrinking at the front between 2nd and 3rd especially. And lap traffic will come into play. You see Glenn Stiers in the GSR number 0. He's done very well at giving the leaders lots of room. each time they come up on his bumper, but a little slip, a little problem in a turn, and that could really change the face of this race.
Fascinating what we're hearing when we go on board with Cameron, but my goodness, does that car ever turn?
And it's when he hits the curb in turn number 4. There you can see the bump, but it just seems to drop it down on the valence on the nose of that car. It doesn't lift it up down the back straightaway very much at all. And there you can see it's almost dragging as he hits the flat spot on the inside of turn number 4. And here he goes in turn 1, 2. He's using every bit of that sidewalk. Oh, ouch. I believe it's just fiberglass that's rubbing at this point, but Andrew Ranger rubbing the right side fiberglass valence on the 27 car. So these cars are getting well worn, and they've been run hard for nearly the entire race distance. 268 laps in of 300 here in the Napa 300.
That bumper camera would almost make me spill my drink watching it. It's like, holy moly. But all these cars are doing it. We just heard Danny Chisholm, the 8 machine, abruptly hit the end of that rumble strip as well as Cameron closing in on Andrew Ranger.
And look at Ranger starting to run a little bit more of a defensive line towards the inside. He's hugging it down, but that car is really leaning towards the right side more so than the 74 ahead of him and obviously the 96 behind him. See, it's the right side is really leaning down on Ranger compared to the GM Paye car behind him.
Next car back to 27, 5 back, P2.
And definitely different than the 74, the race leader of Kevin Lacroix, as Cameron is closed in on Ranger. That's your battle for the second spot.
Yeah, so Ranger's obviously in a fight now for second position, but he's keeping big picture in mind. His teammates out in front, so even if the 96 is faster, you want to hold him up as much as possible.
He's going to make life difficult for Cameron. Ranger able to run right around the bottom of the racetrack, so he drives it in low, gets the car to settle in. You see Cameron close in, but Ranger's doing everything he can to stay to the bottom of the racetrack.
Big slide off of turn 2 for the driver, the 27 Andrew Rangers. Larry Jackson just up ahead in the Big Chief Meat Snacks, number 84, as Larry's going to get the word that the leaders are coming on the inside, and again he leaves plenty of room down low for the 27 and 96 to play.
And boy, was that ever close between Ranger and Cameron. Maybe a little bit of bumper love from Cameron on Ranger down into turn 1.
But don't look now, the 8 car of Danny Chisholm, because these two drivers are starting to battle. Chisholm is coming. He's closing that gap on second and third, so fourth place is joining the party. This is going to be a three-way battle for second as Lacroix continues to lead.
Just massaging the back bumper of Andrew Ranger is Marc-Antoine Cameron. Little bit more significant push that time, but Ranger's still able to get that car settled down.
23 laps to go. Ranger holding on to second spot. You see some sparks coming from the underside of the 27 of Ranger. Now to the outside as the 96 moves down low, and Chisholm with a big hit on the 27 of Ranger. Contact off of turn 2, and around goes Ranger.
Ranger with at least one flat tire. I believe both left side tires flat on that 27.
Oh boy, he stayed out, so he did not go down pit lane, but caution is out. Have a look at what happened.
And we can see what Chisholm was trying to do here, trying to fill that hole.
We got there a little late, though.
It was his angle of attack and the speed he went into the corner with. You're just not going to get that car to turn.
Looks like the left rear tire is down on the 27. Listen to this.
Oof.
Yeah, it was a lick for sure, and then in through that gravel on the backstretch for Chisholm. On board Ranger.
Light him up.
In anger, likely frustration as well. Ranger watching what would have been a top 3, top 2 finish evaporate with contact in turn 2. So Chisholm, not too much damage on that Leland Janiking number 8. Just a little bit of body work. Look at the damage on the 27 of Ranger. Todd?
Had some significant left side body damage to the 27 of Andrew Ranger, who got collected coming out of 2. Left rear tire is flat. They're trying to clear that front body work and the brake duct work underneath. They boost the car up in the air to try and get the jack underneath. They'll change that left rear tire, but it is a great night that has gone away for Andrew Ranger.
And Todd's absolutely right. They had to lift up on the left side, but someone needed to bring the jack, and that's cost Andrew Ranger a lap.
He'll be frustrated as we continue under caution. There's your leader, Kevin Lacroix. So the drivers have had a chance to catch their breath in the late going of this race. Andrew Ranger has made a quick pit stop, but Kevin Lacroix will take the inside lane for this restart as they head through the Pinty's restart zone. Marc-Antoine Cameron will have to go to the high lane.
Ready, quick.
Good launch for Kevin Lacroix.
Clear by half.
Oh, Danny Chisholm. Something went on with Cameron there.
Clear by 1 with the 8.
That Chisholm, now he gets a bump in the 8 car, has to hang on as Cameron looks to take over second spot. He'll settle back into third. Their single file top 4 are all on the same lap. DJ Kennington got the free pass during that last caution. He's up into 5th in the Castrol Edge Dodge.
That is a huge restart for Danny Chisholm. Marc-Antoine Cameron had the fastest car on the racetrack before that yellow, but laps are winding down, and this is making it very difficult.
Remember, Danny Chisholm had problems in his first oval start at Riverside, ending up in the wall with no brakes. He'll be back in Delaware later in this season in this car, so he must be happy with this run right now. And if he can get a top 2, what a race for a young 19-year-old.
Regardless of where he finishes in this one, he has got great experience tonight, done a great job. I think we can say made one mistake on the racetrack, but by and large, he's done a fantastic job behind the wheel.
He's learning by mixing it up with the best, and he has got one of the best on his back bumper in Marc-Antoine Cameron, former series champion, who is trying everything in his tool bag to get by the youngster for second spot. 10 laps to go that time by.
Oh, into the left rear corner, just massaging the left rear corner of the 8. Danny Chisholm gets back in position in that third spot. Cameron overdrove turn 1.
Ooh, he sent it, but he caught it. The 96 back on the gas and able to paste it to that yellow line. Down in 3 and 4, closes the gap. But is the distance to the leader too much for the 96 to catch at this point? There's 8 to go.
I believe it is. He needs to pick up 0.2 of a second per lap just to catch Kevin Lacroix, let alone pass him.
And Danny Chisholm trying to hang on to that final podium spot. It's not a given. He's got Donald Teach banging on his back door looking for a way through.
Second, third, and fourth in a row down through 3 and 4. Kevin Lacroix is hitting all of his marks out in front.
And it's working for him. He's maintained that gap in front of the 96. Remember, last time out, Marc-Antoine Cameron stole away a race victory in Saskatoon in the dying laps of that one. 5 laps to go this time by.
And the gap is growing slightly bigger lap after lap. This is the battle on the racetrack to watch. Danny Chisholm in the third spot. Donald Teach, all sorts of pressure. He is running him absolutely clean.
Yeah, but look at Danny Chisholm. He is getting loose hard on the gas off these corners, trying to stay out in front of the 80 of Donald Teach. Teach would love to step on the podium in that 80 car.
You know he would. It's been a challenging year for Donald Teach, but this time at the start-finish line, it'll be just 2 laps to go.
And you can see that gap between the 96 and the 74 is getting a little bit smaller, almost insurmountable now, though, as Kevin Lacroix will lead him through 3 and 4. He'll see the white flag this time by.
One more time around, he can even afford to make a couple of mistakes here on this last lap, Dave. He has got a huge advantage.
Doesn't want to as he makes his way through 3 and 4. Clean line down low. He'll see the checkered flag. The win in Edmonton goes to the 74 of Kevin Lacroix.
Good job.
Marc-Antoine Cameron, a great rebound to finish second, but Danny Chisholm comes home third. What a run for him.
Awesome job, way to go, way to bring it home, man. Way to bring it
Crew
home.
congratulates the driver. Let's send it down to Todd.
What a great drive by Kevin Lacroix. Adam, what a demonstration your team put on tonight.
What a deal. And we thought we had it, and it just kind of got away from us. The car was like really tight, but came back to us, and just really happy. Man, the guys did an awesome job this weekend.
Kevin finally gets his win here at Edmonton.
Sylvain Lacroix, Kevin's dad, with a playful pat on the top of the head of Adam Marquito, the crew chief for that team. The winners here in the Napa 300.
Donuts on the front stretch, and we're about to head to Evrim Victory Lane.
Well, it's another result that's going to shake up the point standings. Let's head down to Evrim Victory Lane.
Kevin Lacroix now climbs out of that 74 car victorious and waves the checkered flag in celebration. Kevin, we talked earlier, you said 4 poles, no victories. You got the win tonight in dominating fashion.
Well, all it took, I think, it was for Napa to present the race, the Napa 300. So, yeah, four pole here, and we get out today for first time, first win, so very happy about it.
Congratulations, Kevin Lacroix, your winner here in Edmonton.
See Kevin, a big fan of the confetti cannon in Victory Lane as he celebrates now with his crew. And have a look at the results. There you can see Donald Teege coming home 4th, DJ Kennington 5th, the last car on the lead lap.
Jamie Krizik with a good run in 6th. Andrew Ranger rebounded to finish 7th. Tough night for Jason Hathaway. Let's go back to Todd.
Mark, what a drive to battle back after some earlier difficulties handling that car. What a fight tonight.
Oh, yeah, definitely strongest second finish for the GM Payet. We struggled the first half. The car was crazy tight. And we came in, and thanks to my crew chief, Robin McCloskey, he gave me like quite a good adjustment. And after that, the car was pretty damn good. Maybe not for a win, but really happy to finish second here.
Well done.
Thank you.
Could have been a different story with some track position in the late going. Let's take a look at the Fast Eddie Speedway point standings. And Cameron maintains at the top, but there's a new second-place driver.
Indeed, there is. Kevin Lacroix and Andrew Ranger both giving chase, but we've got a fresh face who finished 3rd today.
Yeah, guys, he's a new addition to the NASCAR Canada Series, but he has served notice. What a run here to a 3rd-place finish, Danny.
Yeah, it was a great race. We definitely had a lot of fun out there. I had a blast to get to drive this car. It's a dream come true, and man, we wheeled her up to 3rd and had a great battle with the 74, with the 96, 27, the 80 car. It was all great racing. Really proud.
Danny Chisholm with his first podium finish.
He's such a fresh face, he refers to everybody just as the number on the side of their cars. I love it.
The 8th race of the 2024 NASCAR Canada Series has been brought to you by General Tire, the official tire of the NASCAR Canada Series. By Leland Industries, 100% North American made fasteners. By Recap, recovery drink. And by Payet, #1 in Canada.
Almost hard to believe, but the Western swing is complete. We're headed back to Ontario and Quebec to finish out the season.
Well, what a treat the fans got here in Edmonton, and boy, did they come out packing the grandstands for 300 laps of hard-nosed NASCAR action.
It was a tough night for some of our contenders, LP Dumoulin, Andrew Ranger, but for some, it was all about the good times, like Kevin Lacroix in that 74.
Next race is going to be a tough one. The streets of Trois-Rivières await, and the Rousseau Medals 60 will be there in the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. From all of us at Fuel Media Lab, we'll see you next time.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.